So, Joe, we continue on our deep dives tonight, and I am really excited for this one as we go down and stay in the Sunshine State. We talk about the Florida Gators here. Joe, I've been very fired up to talk about Florida because I think that they could be a sneaky team. I don't want to overreact and say, hey, man, this is a playoff team, that this team can really do some good things and make a push. I don't know if I want to go there. But, man, I really like some of the pieces that they got here. A lot of question marks. I think they got question marks at receiver. I think they have question marks in their linebacking room. I think they have some questions in their secondary. But, man, their whole O-line pretty much turns back. Some of the defensive line pieces that they have. We'll talk about Caleb Banks. We kind of already have talked about Caleb Banks a little bit on this show because I said that I loved him. Brother, they got some serious talent in some of these positions now.
Blake, we've spent a lot of time in a lot of ways clowning on Billy Napier. And I think that it's been justified, but where we sit at the current moment, this is the prove it moment. This is the moment where they're actually able to show what he's been building. Now, I bring this up to point out that there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders because if he doesn't win after being afforded the extra year of a buffer, after having the time to recruit and to develop all of these guys, if he still can't win, that proves he can't get the job done. But I think that with this roster, it is one of the more talented rosters in the SEC. I don't believe that they go on to win the SEC. But they have the bones of a team that can win 9 games this upcoming year. I think it reminds me a lot of last year where South Carolina came out of nowhere. Where South Carolina, expectations were low, easy program to clown on, so much so that I got myself caught up trying to clown on that program and made the mistake.
You know who didn't clown on them?
You clowned on them too. Don't act like you didn't. You laughed at my joke, but let's stay on topic here. Let's stay on topic here. My point is that eventually they started to piece together big game after big game. They had really underrated elite athletes that started to show themselves week in and week out. This Florida team has that. It has Caleb Banks, who my friend Ryan Roberts, who I co-host our NFL Draft channel with, has gone as far as to say he believes could be the best prospect in the class for 2026.
Interesting take.
Okay. Tyreak Sapp is a very gifted defensive end, could also be a first rounder. You have Eugene Wilson, who was a little banged up last year, who could also be a first rounder. And you have DJ Lagway, who was the belle of the ball a year ago in the recruiting class that he was in, that has all the potential in the world and has shown some unreal things that he can do with his arm. Lastly, is capped off by 2 receiver additions in Dallas Wilson, who a lot of people are hyping up, the freshman, and J. Michael Sturdivant, who comes in from UCLA, who has a lot of potential that the NFL loves. This checks a lot of boxes for me, Blake. I know we're going to look at the schedule in a second, but we're not looking at a team that's got just a bunch of quality players that are hoping to do some things. Now, I see a team that's got first-round talent that has the potential to dominate.
All right. You started off the show today, and you said what exactly?
I said that you were right about Caleb Banks.
About a month ago, we came in here and we were doing our conference top 5 defenders, top 5, receiver, running backs, quarterbacks, all of it, right? Caleb Banks was on the top of my list, one of the top part of my list in the SEC. What I told you then and what I tell you now is don't let the stats fool you. Do not allow those stats to fool you. Joe, down the stretch against LSU, they had 2 offensive linemen on that offensive line. One that got drafted at 4, another one that got drafted at Baltimore, which I love that addition. I love that pick for that team. And Emory Jones, Caleb Banks wrecked shop. The disruptive nature of what 88 plays with is on a different level that I've seen from some of these interior defensive linemen in the SEC. I see him as one of those guys that you look at in Big 10 or SEC, that when you look at them, they are different human beings. They are cut from a different type of cloth. Now, he turned it up post-Texas. Really, post-Georgia, if I'm being honest, I thought that he disrupted that Georgia film all over the place. Joe, the stats aren't going to be there, but he's pushing dudes back into the backfield, which is causing mistiming, it's causing chaos in the backfield. Him alone, I don't know how high of a level he can take this. What I will tell you is that if he has the season the way that he ended 2024, Joe, he will be a top 5 pick. I do not care if he finishes. Now, is there a chance that teams start really honing in on him? Is there chances that people run away from him? They do special things because of him? Maybe. Let's see how he can live up to what he did the end of the season. Joe, I will go as far as saying this. I don't think there was a better defensive lineman that ended the season in the entire country better than him.
I agree with that.
I really don't. So that is a big centerpiece defensively for me. You brought up Tyreak Sapp here. Joe, okay. That's two. I mean, like you mentioned, that's 2 potential first-round picks along their defensive line. Can they live up to this hype? You know, what's interesting is I felt like last year when it was announced that Billy was coming back, 1 for sure, but 2 I know for sure. Tyreak Sapp and Caleb Banks said, oh, hell yeah. Their play massively went through the roof. So if anything, you went out and found 2 dudes that can really play. But, Joe, I got to push back on a couple of areas here for you, okay, that concern me going into the season in 2025 for Florida. Number 1, I am worried about their secondary. I am worried about their secondary. By the way, they're losing three of their top tacklers from this team. Yeah. One in the portal, one graduated. Joe, I look at this team and say, I see the potential. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. The question becomes here for me with them, can you replace things you have at linebacker? Can you replace things that you have in the secondary? Joe, secondary-wise, they have not been great. They have gotten obliterated. You remember the Texas game where they're having to throw out Kamani McLean? I mean, so I don't know if they can be good enough there. If they can, then fine. Look, I come out here and talked about Ron Roberts. Speaking of Southeastern, this is the second reference I brought them up today. He was the head coach there. He was a mentor for guys like Dave Aranda and Pete Golding that were a part of those staffs who were in the SEC and collectively a head coach at Baylor. The thing I would say here is Ron has always had some sketchy secondaries, always. Go back to wherever he's been. They got to improve at linebacker, and we'll see. I don't know about secondary, but their defensive line has some outright dudes on it. I will say this, though, to your point about the offense before I kick it back over to you. Joe, what are we supposed to do with DJ Lagway in this injury? Because I saw him throw this week, and he didn't look bad throwing it. It looked like he had some zip on it. But at the same time, anybody can put zip on the ball in the air when no one's going to hit him and there's no repercussions of it. And you don't have pads on. Should we be worried, or is he going to be okay coming in this? And one thing I would say, too, before I kick it back, Billy said he was on a pitch count. I don't like hearing that. I don't, from a quarterback, I don't like hearing that right there. So
well, it's not, we're not talking like it's August right now. Like it's May. He's got multiple
Joe,
months.
If you have a rotator cuff, if you have a shoulder problem, listen, brother, I don't care what anybody tells me. That ain't just because he's got May, June, July, August does not. If it's a rotator cuff issue, if it's a labrum issue, that doesn't matter. Listen, I'm telling you, but these baseball guys have these injuries all the time, brother. All right, okay, don't play around with this now.
I don't disagree with that part. I think that as long as he's back, their success is contingent on DJ Lagway. Like to call it what it is, he was unavailable for that one game, and they started the Yale kid. He got smoked, and then as soon as he comes back,
that kid had heart, man. That kid had heart.
He comes back, and then all of a sudden they're super competitive again. Their success, it hinges on Lagway's
Yeah, well, they beat LSU and Ole Miss, to your point. Right.
I think the craziest part, too, is that, like, Lagway's statistical performances, like his completion percentage,
they weren't great.
But the difference is that you saw from a freshman, and why a lot of times, like when you talk to people about guys that are like showing promise, like the Maeva video that we did yesterday was a really good example of this, where you can just see that he's all over the place and he's not making the plays to elevate his team. When you watch DJ Lagway, you see mistakes that are impacted by experience, but when he clicks, you see the flashes. Those plays elevated his team to wins. Those plays elevated his team to get first downs, to convert, touchdowns, big plays, all of it. And everyone rallied around him. Nobody's rallying around Jaden Maeva. People rallied around DJ Lagway, and I think that that's where the general optimism comes into play. Can I read their schedule, or do you have anything else that you want to add in before we
Yeah, I do, if we got a quick second.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing about DJ Lagway was, Joe, in every crunch time situation, Ole Miss, LSU, Florida State, he made elite throws, not great throws. Elite. Like, this is 5-star quad, like best throw I've seen a freshman quarterback make type shit. I mean, he made some bazooka throws even against Georgia before he got hurt in that one. I mean, I just don't like he had the hamstring and the shoulder. That would worry me. I mean, we'll see. I hope he has a lot of success, and I hope he's healthy. I really do. Michael Sturdivant. Joey's production's dropped every single year. I get he was at UCLA. I know he's got a lot of high potential. They need a receiver that's going to break out. Does their offensive line that's all back, do they collectively get better? Joe, you got 5 dudes that are coming back from bruh. All right. Okay.
That O-line makes me feel pretty good about the.
You know who had that?
Who?
Georgia and Michigan. You know who had 4 of the 5?
Who?
Ohio State. Then they went and got McLaughlin. So I would just
to put the caveat on it, like we're not saying that they win a national title,
correct.
But like it's an indicator.
If you look at correct, I'm not saying they're winning a natty. Go look at the overall run game success. You bring in Jaden Bow back, the freshman who exploded a year ago. Joe, they had 2 true freshmen that exploded on the scene and nobody wanted to talk about. We forget about Jaden. But, Joe, I got to tell you this, Jacoby Jackson, they might have one of the best 1-2 running back like duos in the SEC. Screw this whole just DJ Lagway. Joe, they might be able to run the football here. Like, that's the thing for me where they can control tempo on both sides of the football. That's what makes them so sneaky and dangerous to me. Now, we're going to talk about them more. This probably won't be the first breakdown that we do about Florida. But one thing is damn for sure, brother, don't let it surprise you if they sneak up and start beating some teams. That's what I'd say.
So to take a look at who they'd have.
Yes.
LIU at home, USF at home, at LSU, tough game, at Miami, which will be tough, but could be a sneaky upset opportunity. Bye week, they host Texas, so that could be a really sneaky steal for them. At Texas A&M versus Mississippi State, bye week, versus Georgia, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, versus Tennessee, versus Florida State. I see a lot of tough matchups. I see 2 difficult games on the road, going to LSU, going to Ole Miss, but I see them benefiting from the fact that they get to host and also going to Miami. So that's 3 tough road games, but they get to benefit from hosting Georgia, Tennessee.
Well, no, they don't have Georgia's in
Texas. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And they also have to go to Texas A&M. It's a hard schedule, but it's one in which I think 9-3 is capably on the table if they play to this potential that we're putting out there. I think anything more than that might be a little bit too aggressive if I'm being honest.
I agree with you. I think that that's their ceiling. I do think that they can get one more win. I think they can get to 9 wins. I don't know when it is, even if it comes in the bowl game. Joe, I got to be real with you. There are a couple of games on here, like the final stretch again for them. It's not as brutal as it once was. Like the Tennessee game doesn't feel as brutal as it once was, and them going to the swamp. They don't win there. Tennessee does not win in Bill Hill Griffith Stadium. They couldn't win there. I mean, they just haven't had any luck there. Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. It's not easy, but here's the problem with that. 3 of those 5 games are on the road, even with Georgia, that game being in Jacksonville. So, again, down the stretch, I mean, they have some really interesting things. I'm glad they get Texas at home if I'm a fan of them. But even if you go in the beginning of the season, Joe, 2 of their 3 toughest games in the beginning of the season, 3 of the 4 weeks are away at LSU, at Miami, at Texas A&M. So you start off like this is brutal, dude. I mean,
yeah, they got some tough schedules.
Well, they're tough. You say they benefit for getting something home. 3-3. So the top 4 tough games, 3 of them are on the road. The back 3 of them are on the road. No, 4 of them are on the road.
Well, they've got better rosters and definitely better quarterbacks than a number of those teams that we just mentioned there. They're better quarterback than Ole Miss. Better quarterback than Texas A&M.